10 seconds to go. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I have listened with very great interest to the debate, and I am happy to see that the bill has been justified in substance to the fullest measure. So far as I have been able to gather, the House is very anxious that as early as possible, efficient steps should be taken to see to it that the drugs produced and distributed in the country are good for the people. Then there was also a consensus of opinion that at some level or the other, the implementing agency should be very efficient and that it should be having sufficient powers in order to implement this policy. Then, thirdly, there was also a consensus of opinion so far as I could see that the offenders in this respect should receive very deterrent punishment because whatever mistakes they do go to the root of the health of the people. What I wanted to convey was that different views had been expressed, and I would like to share with the House the views of the government in the matter. One thing the House seems to have missed. I was listening to my honorable friend Mr. Sinha, and I was disappointed with the material that he had presented before the House. It seems that a learned advocate pleading the cause of the state governments against the central government before a court of law. Ultimately, everyone knows the position, and therefore I need not dilate on the point as to what concurrent list means. There are certain subjects exclusively for the states. There are certain subjects which are exclusively for the center, and there are certain subjects which are left for concurrent legislation. The meaning is very obvious in this particular matter. As soon as the Pharmaceutical Inquiry Committee's report was out, we took care to consult the opinion of the states as to what their view was. Opinions in such matters are not always unanimous. Then again, there was the Estimates Committee of Parliament which went through this matter. It went a little in detail into this vexed problem of the drugs. For instance, with regard to the drug inspectorates in the states, they said that the committee view with great concern the continued existence of spurious drugs in the market due to the ineffective operation of the Drugs Act and the rules in the country, and recommended that all remedial measures should be taken by government to check this evil. In regard to the punishment for the violation of the Drugs Act, they said that the committee felt that adequate conditions should be made to enable government to take drastic measures against those responsible for manufacture and sale of such spurious drugs. The committee therefore recommended that minimum deterrent punishment should be prescribed for the infringement of the Drugs Act and rules. Then they go on further about the centralization of drug control. Ultimately, the Estimates Committee of Parliament, as we all know, is a very responsible committee. They say that in view of the criticisms made against the Drugs Act, the representative of the ministry was asked to state whether it would be desirable to centralize the control over the manufacture of drugs, which at present vests in the state governments as recommended by the Pharmaceutical Inquiry Committee. They further said that the matter of the central operation of the Drugs Act had been considered by the Government of India, and it was decided not to interfere with the powers of the state governments. They go on and recommends that the Drugs Act may be amended accordingly. They further recommended that the Government of India shall take immediate steps to pass the amended Drugs Act in the Lok Sabha. Now, in pursuance of that and after considering the whole matter, we thought that the center should step in. All of us are agreed and are unanimous about the matter insofar as the control of the spurious drugs are concerned. Our objective is one. Maybe some states have succeeded better than others, but in view of this consensus, we have thought it fit to come on ourselves and not to impinge upon the powers of the state governments. Ultimately, my honorable friend here there does not appear to appreciate how we function. I would like to make it clear that whether it is the central government or the state governments, we work in cooperation and we work in harmony. We in the central government realize that if any good has to be done to the country in any field, it can only be by functioning through the state governments. If any step needs to be taken, it has to be with the fullest cooperation of the state governments. We do not sit down to quarrel. In fact, we sit down to work a much more serious job. Therefore, in trying to harmonize our own discussions, we shall see to it that we do not quarrel. There are so many things that can be worked in a very harmonious manner. Take, for instance, our inspectors. Under this act, it is conceivable that in an area where the state government is functioning in an efficient manner, their inspector may be our inspector. Powers are given to them. Their laboratory may be our laboratory. Their office may be our office. Just at the present moment, though the drug controller of the government of India has no right in Bombay, the Bombay Drug Controller acted in full cooperation with the wishes of this House and with the wishes of the government of India. Therefore, I do not visualize any conflict at all between the central government machinery and the state government machinery. In order to help the states in the third 5 year plan, we are contemplating a proposal to keep at their disposal something like rupees 150 crores to see to it that standardization and control are done in the best manner possible, and therefore this idea of a conflict is nowhere in our contemplation nor in the contemplation of the state governments.